Multifamily and More Expert Series, where we take a deep dive with our expert guest into a specific topic related to the business of multifamily, mindset, or anything in between. Today's guest is Kevin Heras. Born and raised in Spain, he's a recent Michigan Technological University graduate and a Detroit transplant, livening up the tech scene downtown, which is really cool. In college, he was at a company called Handshake. He was actually employee number 2 at a dorm room founded college student career network called Handshake. Today, they're over 100 employees, Series C funded, and worth over $300 million, which is insane. He's taken that experience, that passion for great software, solving traditionally complex problems, to his next venture where he's co-founded InvestNext. And he's going to talk about that software to all of us. So Kevin, welcome to our little show.
Thanks for having me, Jamie.
Absolutely. So what is InvestNext? Tell me what that is and what problem it seeks to solve.
Well, we say that InvestNext seeks to democratize real estate syndication. And that's kind of our internal mantra. But really it's around building technology that streamlines the entire capital raising process for any syndicators that are trying to raise outside capital to get more deals done.
Okay, so walk me through that. So I'm a syndicator and I need to raise capital. So I want to go out there and pound streets, do whatever I have to do to get capital in for a deal that I want to fund. How does InvestNext come into the fold for me at that point?
So InvestNext is really kind of 2 sets of tools. Internally, you really have this application that's driven around relationship management, capital raising, and then externally, we present that as a portal. So your private investors, outside capital partners can log in, view deals, view any details on their investment, and actually commit to any upcoming deals that they want to do on the platform.
Very cool. All right, so this portal, they get their own independent login ID, I assume. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right,
that's correct. So as an investor, you can access these deals. That's really dependent on the firm and the syndicator, how public they want to have that. But the idea there is as an outside investor, I can view those deals, transact any of those documents, and really just go through the entire funding process for committing to those deals.
Very cool. All right, so let me go through this kind of bullet by bullet as I think through what this would look like. So I have a deal. I want to socialize that deal, if you will, through InvestNext. So I put a PDF together of everything I want, a financing package, an offer package, whatever it may be. I drop it in InvestNext. Now I want to do a webinar. So I would assume that then I have to go to Zoom or some other third-party thing to do this webinar, or am I doing this all through InvestNext?
The goal here is that the entire experience is run through the platform. So if you have presentations, if you have a webinar, any sort of collateral that you're presenting to outside capital raisers or any partners, the idea is that it's all done within that one interface. So that's the whole goal. It's really just centralizing the entire interaction with your partners right through that interface on the portal.
Wow, very cool. All right, so keeping going through it. So we do the webinar, we secure the capital. Now people want to send the funds through, the actual dollars through. So that happens, I'm going to assume it happens within the InvestNext portal as well, correct?
So we are an AC. So two solutions around that. We deal with investors that, they're still sort of like the old school approach. They want to send a check and then those, but the other side of it is really trying to stream the entire payment, again, from the actual moment of payment all the way through actual payment, and all of that done on our platform as an actual syndication platform.
That's crazy. So all right, so that's very, very convenient, and I got to believe that this creates credibility for syndicators, right? Because you're literally giving your investor one place to go for all of this stuff. So as a syndicator, like I said, the credibility that you're displaying has got to be pretty strong, I would assume.
That's exactly it. So the goal here really is so there's an aspect of actually streamlining the operation of raising capital. Really around that is how to encapsulate that with your branding, and really being able to present that professional. So that's kind of how we frame it as. It's really directing people to your brand and ultimately to a very professional place to actually conduct that deal.
Makes sense. All right, so I close the deal. I'm on the other end of it now, and I'm going to be distributing funds to my investors, right? Whatever we agreed on, our preferred return, whatever the timeline is of that. I also want to send through some newsletters, right? I want to send, updates quarterly or biannually or whatever it may be to my investors on the status of the project, what's going on, and all of that. Does InvestNext? I'm assuming you can do all of that through InvestNext, but do you create the newsletter? Like, what does that look like on the back end?
So really, the way we kind of segment a nice part of what we consider the investment suite of the product. So what we just kind of talked about is focus around capital raising and the fundraising side of the operation. Other side of this is the investment management. So once you've actually acquired the capital, not once you have a capital of your investors, outside capital source, now it's a matter of moving that and being able to manage that ongoingly. So part of the investment side of things, it's a centralized cap table, a centralized place to actually manage distribution plans, whether you have, again, as complex or as simple of a waterfall structure as you have, and then get it where the monthly, quarterly. So that's really attached to an internal publishing platform. We communicate ongoing updates to investors, and all of that primarily driven to the that investor portal where they can log in and view that, or as well through email and the like.
Gotcha. So essentially, you take my PPM, you plug it into InvestNext, and it does whatever my PPM says it's supposed to do, right? I mean, that's essentially what InvestNext does for me. That
is correct. The idea here is, historically, the sort of the process has been leaning on Excel, right? You build your Excel model, and what we found is, first of all, a massive industry still locked into that. Very error prone, everything that we've come across. So the goal for us was to build a very clear interface to be able to operate right within a drag and drop interface, and ultimately being able to automate the calculation across all of your investors.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I get it. We've got this portal for the investor. We've got this management system, if you will, for the syndicator that comes together. In the middle of that is your software. Streamlines it, makes it easy, allows me to go from beginning to end, literally, and while using InvestNext. So how big a portfolio, how large a deal or whatever do I need to have in order to use a product like InvestNext? What's the ideal range, or is there one?
So we built this as kind of a simple solution. We work customers that are as small as kind of mom and pop syndication shop. I mean, they and capital partner investors. On the other end of that spectrum, we work with real funds that have investors that number in the thousands. So we kind of brought our strategy has been to make the product very modular, in the sense that we only turn is on and off depending on how rigorous your process is. But again, the goal is, depending on what size you are, slot to work within the system.
Okay. So from a cost standpoint, do you do it as a percentage of a deal? Is it a straight monthly subscription fee? Do you have any, I don't know if you can elaborate on that, or if your cost structure is still kind of being set, but give me an idea. If I'm going to go syndicate a 60 unit deal, what's that going to cost me if I'm using a platform like InvestNext?
We try to keep it very simple. Really just look at the volume of investment you're managing. So the idea is being that, if you have a range of, 5 to 10 investors, that falls within a certain kind of bucket. And our pricing is really meant to scale that. And we generally say, like, we start off at like $25 investor, that's active investor in the system, and then that scales all the way up to, if you're managing hundreds of investors, the goal there is that we're minimizing that per investor headcount. That model has really worked well with us. Again, scaling across real estate funds all the way down to small little private syndication stock.
Gotcha. Okay, so very flexible in that regard, which is pretty cool. Okay, so the only other question I have is, all right, so I'm using InvestNext. you're at this point, I guess, a startup. You are in market, but you're not fully launched just yet, or not. I shouldn't say that. You're not fully. You haven't gone through the full media blitz just yet, right? So, but you're out there being used. You get sold. You decide you want to go sell lemons instead of do this stuff, whatever it may be. What's your continuity plan? How do I make sure that my information and my investors' information is protected?
So one of the things that we're always very rigorous is the fact that your data is yours. At any point, all of that is exportable. And that was actually one of the first things we built out, was just the ability to take everything that you're looking at in the interface and be able to export that very cleanly within a format, or any other kind of format that. So the idea is within a single batch export, that's all yours. And that's like kind of the extreme case scenario where you just say, like, I want my data right in front of me on a spreadsheet. This is what I trust. We accommodate all of that. Continuity plan, we've built, and I can get into the technical kind of jargon of it, but the idea behind this is all of it is hosted on the largest servers, and AWS, if you want to kind of think of it that way. So redundant backups to that extent. Continuity plan around this is we've built a large enough team that we have now, about 10 developers that are actually focused on building the platform itself. So we've really built in that redundancy factor to actually support customers on an ongoing basis. So
very cool. All right. So then what is next for InvestNext, if you will? I mean, you've built this it sounds to be intuitive platform. Like I said earlier, it's something that as a syndicator, it would give me credibility in saying, hey, this is easy for you, Mr. Investor or Miss Investor. Just use your portal. Everything is transacted through this singular portal. We know what happens if something goes down or whatever I said, you're going to go sell something other than what you're doing. We know what your continuity plan is. So that's great. You're on huge servers. I don't even understand that stuff, but it sounds great to me. Everything is good there. Is the product, I know the product's never fully complete. You're always going to have new iterations. I have an iPhone. I always get the app update. So I understand that part of it, but is there any sort of feature right now that is still in process, or do you feel like you got the features down and now it's more optimizing the product as you go along?
So we're super excited about kind of and I would say it's both. We say we have the scaffolding around the kind of the entire platform built. It's really around optimizing that current feature set. So one of the things we're working on right now is the ability for new people that are jumping onto the platform to be able to self-onboard very easily. So being walked through a process, being able to set up their InvestNext environment very easily. Ideally, the goal is you land on our website, you can test run it, run your entire fundraising process through it. Just being able to do it kind of hands off from that perspective. That's more kind of on the ground level, what we're working on right now. The exciting thing around this stuff is really sort of what's forthcoming, and really just kind of building a mobile-centric platform around this stuff. And what I mean by that is that the thing we really identified is that a lot of people are going to be on their mobile devices. A lot of, let's call it, the sort of the high executives are actually looking at real estate deals are engaged on their mobile devices. So the entire real purpose around this is building this so it's mobile centric from the start. So being able to actually transact actual investments, actual deals through mobile, the entire process, having that streamlined is really our focus right now. So preemptive of it is we're rolling out a dedicated mobile application around this, and that's actually coming within the next quarter. We're going to be doing some beta testing on it, but yeah, that's in the works right now.
Makes perfect sense to me. There's some management softwares or whatever for our portfolio that I use on my phone. It just is, it's the way of the world. So it makes complete sense that you would, have that option for I guess both sides, right? The investor or the syndicator to utilize, which is fantastic.
That is correct. And that's where we're going to see a lot of engagement around this. It's really being able to be on the move, and be able to interact at different touch points with the application.
Makes sense. All right. This is great. What I love about this, well, a couple things I love. One, you're in Detroit and you're supporting that whole renaissance or resurgence, I should say, of Detroit, the tech sector. You and I have talked before that's developing there. So I love that. That's just kind of a side ancillary thing. But yeah, I mean, you've really thought through the end to end on this, right? The very each, I guess, each, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to call it a pain point, but each mechanism that has to go in, that everybody has to do, probably manually to some extent, to begin and end the process of acquiring property in the syndication model, you've systematized it, made it easier, I guess is the best way to put it. And that just, to me, that just speaks to me, because easier is way better from my perspective. So I think it's great.
I mean, this is really, for us, it's extremely exciting. Real estate is really kind of final frontier for a lot of, and I hate to use like kind of cliche terms, but it's the truth in the sense that it's really ripe for disruption. There's a lot of kind of lagging solutions in the space, and we're just really seeing an awesome opportunity to build something, first of all, that's actually scalable for even, again, all the way down to small syndications, something that's actually attainable with even a budget, as well as being able to effectively manage it in an intuitive application. I mean, that's for us is just really exciting. And at the end of the day, we're just geeked out about it. We're all kind of engineers. So we have our foot in the real estate. We understand real estate as it is. We understand the market, but we also understand kind of technology. So we're kind of combining our superpowers to actually build out this platform. So we're excited.
Great way of putting it. I like that. So, all right. So if somebody wants to learn more, reach out to you or somebody on your team, do a demo, whatever it may be, how do they do that?
They can go right on our website. That's www.investnext.com. And right then and there, you can just jump on. First of all, you can kind of get a sense of what the product is, but reach us right directly through there. And of course, happy to share my personal email to anybody that's watching here. So that's Kevin@investnext.com as well.
Perfect. Well, Kevin, thank you. I really appreciate this. I think this is great information for folks. And yeah, I appreciate you being on today.
Jamie, appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me today.
Absolutely.